I, 16-year-old male, live with my mum. My dad lost his parental rights due to abandonment, no contact over a year and no child support. He contacted us after getting sober and things seemed to be going well, but then his new wife tried to prohibit me from reading YA books featuring queer characters. That was when I decided to not visit their house again so I don't have to follow their rules. This morning I found out that my dad's new wife got pregnant. They asked me to meet them at a cafe and I decided to go just to hear what they have to say. It's been 20 days since I last saw my dad. They asked if I would consider helping babysit the kid after he is born. They are thinking of having me over for 3 hours each day when the baby is born, so that they can have their time outside by themselves. When I asked my dad's wife if she would still try to control what I read, she said yes, and that she doesn't want me bringing certain books to their home. I told them that I won't do it then since they expect me to just sit there doing nothing for 3 hours, except watching the kid. They won't even allow me to use the TV since she doesn't want anyone else touching their remote. My grandparents said I should be willing to consider the idea, since the kid is my half-sibling. Update. I told it to him straight. I told him he's crazy if he thinks that as a 16-year-old I'll take responsibility for an infant 3 hours a day, not to mention zero pay and having his wife censor my reading materials. Then I told him I hope he's a better dad to this kid than he ever was to me, before blocking him. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. If the only reason they are even reaching out to you now is because you would be a built-in babysitter, then I wouldn't ever go to their house ever again. Period. The fact that they are on top of that, trying to control what you read and watch at 16 years old, is ridiculous. Your dad doesn't get to pick and choose when he wants to be a parent to you, and your stepmom has no right to control anything to do with you. If I were you, I would go completely no contact with them, and I highly recommend getting some therapy to deal with your abandonment issues and how horribly your dad has treated you. Always remember, you don't owe your dad a relationship just because he is your dad. He should have to earn being a part of your life by respecting you and showing he values your time and energy, just like anyone else. Comment 2. Not the idiot. They just want free childcare. And at 3 hours daily, that's a lot of free childcare. There's also the separate issue that a 16-year-old is likely not equipped to take care of a newborn baby with zero supervision. I say that not as a slight on you or your maturity, but as an issue that any reasonable new parent should think of before arranging childcare. Since they seemingly don't trust you to choose an appropriate book or touch their TV remote incorrectly, why would they think you are capable of taking care of a newborn? Explain to your grandparents that you aren't against having a relationship with the new half-sibling, just against this particular arrangement. Comment 3. Not the idiot, OP. That's a lot of presumably free childcare thereafter. They shouldn't expect 1 minute from you. Asking if you'd babysit once in a while and paying for it is one thing, which even then it is okay for you to say no, but giving up 3 hours per day is ridiculous. What about you, OP? What about your studies/work/leisure time? As for censoring your reading and not allowing you to watch TV, nope, I'd be out of there. As for your grandparents saying you should babysit because it's your half-sibling, that's a hard no. Visiting your dad and his wife to see the baby is one thing, but they're trying to use you. Now, for the update. After I last posted, things escalated way more than I ever expected. So Dad and Stepmom tried to reach out again after our awkward cafe showdown. They sent texts, called, and even had family members trying to guilt me into taking up the babysitting gig, saying it was about family responsibility and that I was being too harsh. I tried to keep my distance, but then, out of nowhere, my dad showed up at my school. Yeah, you heard that right, at my school. He made this big public apology in front of my friends, practically begging for forgiveness and another chance. It was intense. Part of me felt sorry for him. He looked genuinely upset. But then I remembered all the things he'd put me through. Now here's the wild part. My mum found out about this school scene. She was livid. Turns out she has a protective streak wider than the Grand Canyon. She and Dad had a huge blow-up over the phone that I accidentally overheard. Mum accused him of trying to manipulate me and playing the sober card to whitewash past neglect. Fast forward a few days and out of the blue, my stepmum reaches out directly to me. This time without my dad's knowledge. She wanted to clear the air. We met up at a different cafe and she actually, wait for it, apologised. She told me she's been attending family therapy sessions and realised she was trying to impose her beliefs on me. She even said she'd make no more comments about what I read or watch. I was floored. But wait, it gets crazier. During this meetup, she confesses that she's considering leaving my dad because he's relapsed. The new baby. Apparently it's become the only thing keeping them together, and she's scared of doing it alone. She was almost in tears, and I kind of felt bad for her. Meanwhile, Dad's been blowing up my phone with messages, swinging wildly between apologies, and then blaming me for tearing the family apart. It's like he's unravelling, and I don't know how to handle it. Mum says to stay out of it, that it's not my circus, not my monkeys, but it's hard when it's your dad, you know. Last I heard, Stepmom's moved in with her sister and Dad's gone AWOL. No one's seen him for days. As for the babysitting, that's off the table entirely now. But with everything that's happened, it seems like the least of our worries. So, yeah, that's the update. Not what I expected when I posted 2 weeks ago, for sure. Fielding advice and support from you guys has been a lifeline. Here's hoping the next 2 weeks are a little less eventful. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It's clear from the story that your dad and stepmom have been overstepping boundaries by pressuring you into a babysitting job you are not comfortable with. It's important to set and maintain personal boundaries, especially when it comes to work that you did not agree to. Moreover, involving other family members to guilt-trip you is a manipulative tactic, and it's understandable why you would be upset by it. Your dad's decision to apologize in public at your school was an inappropriate way to address the issue. Public apologies can be a form of manipulation, as they put the recipient under pressure to forgive in front of an audience. It's not surprising that your mum perceived this as manipulative behaviour. Regarding your stepmum's revelation about considering leaving your dad due to his relapse, it's essential to recognise that you are not responsible for the decisions and actions of your parents. Their relationship issues, including your stepmum moving out and your dad's subsequent disappearance, are not your fault. You are not the cause of your family's problems, and your dad's attempt to blame you is unfair and unwarranted. It's good to hear that the babysitting job is no longer an issue, and I hope you find the peace and stability you deserve in the future. Comment 2. Not the idiot. In this situation, your right to autonomy and the choice of whether or not to accept employment was not respected by your dad and stepmom. The insistence on your taking a job against your will is a violation of your personal agency, and it's entirely appropriate for you to resist that pressure. It's concerning that your dad thought it appropriate to intervene at your school, which could have had repercussions on your social and academic life. The aftermath of the situation with your stepmom is also telling. It shows that there are underlying issues in their relationship that have nothing to do with you. The fact that your stepmom apologized to you indicates that she recognizes the unfairness of the situation you were put in. It's a positive step that she's acknowledging the inappropriateness of their actions and is taking steps to address her own situation. Your dad's behavior in blaming you for the family's problems is a classic example of deflection and a failure to take personal responsibility. It's important to recognize that adults are responsible for their own actions and choices, and it's deeply unjust to put that weight on a child or young adult's shoulders. You should not be made to feel responsible for adult issues, and it's healthy that you are looking forward to moving beyond this turmoil. Comment 3. Not the idiot. Your experience demonstrates a clear case of boundaries being violated repeatedly by your dad and stepmom. Not only did they try to coerce you into a job, but they also involved other family members to emotionally manipulate you, which is a breach of trust and respect. The public apology at your school from your dad was not only inappropriate but also potentially humiliating. Public spaces are not the venues for private family matters, and doing so can be a tactic to force a specific response from you while avoiding a genuine private reconciliation. With the stepmom reaching out to apologise and sharing her own struggles, it's evident that there are deeper issues at play within their relationship that have spilled over into your life. Her decision to leave and your dad's subsequent disappearance further illustrate the volatility in their relationship, which should not be made your burden to bear. Your dad blaming you for the family's issues is a form of emotional abuse known as scapegoating. It's a way to avoid facing his own problems and responsibilities by putting the blame on someone else. In this case, you. This is highly unfair and damaging. It's crucial to maintain your sense of self-worth and understand that you are not to blame for the adult's choices and actions in your life. Looking forward to a less eventful future is a healthy and justified response to such a tumultuous period in your life. Now, for the next story. I, 39-year-old female, have a daughter Vihana, 14-year-old female, with my husband Cole, 39-year-old male. I'm South Asian and my husband and the rest of his family are white. My mother-in-law Connie had recently taken Vihana over for the weekend at her and my father-in-law Tom's 65-year-old male house. They've had my daughter over for weekends and holiday stays before, so I wasn't worried about anything happening, and Vihana seemed fine during our morning and nightly phone calls. Today, when my mother-in-law dropped Vihana off, I was shocked to see her almost waist-length hair was now shoulder-length and that it was now straightened. Vihana has been determined to grow her hair out since she was in the 6th grade and has expressed no desire to straighten her normally curly hair before. Vihana was crying and explained to me that her grandma had done this all herself and lied to her that I gave my permission for my mother-in-law to do this, which is why she didn't mention it when we talked. Needless to say, I was pissed, and after comforting my daughter, I told Cole what happened, and we talked for an hour about what we should do about the situation. We eventually came to the agreement that my mother-in-law wouldn't be seeing Vihana alone until she learned to respect Vihana's boundaries. We ended up calling my father-in-law to see if he had anything to do with this, and he was horrified when we explained things to him and said that my mother-in-law gave him the same lie about getting my permission to do this. My father-in-law apologised profusely before hanging up, and I ended up sending a text to my mother-in-law about how she was unable to see Vihana alone until she apologised for what she did and learned to respect Vihana's boundaries. It was quiet for a while until Cole and I started getting bombarded with texts from both my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, Lucy. My mother-in-law is furious with me for trying to keep her away from her granddaughter, and for telling my father-in-law what happened because he's now staying in a hotel and contemplating their marriage. Lucy is calling me a witch for what I did, and saying it wasn't a crime for my mother-in-law to act in my daughter's best interest, even if she went behind my back, because clearly I wasn't going to take care of her. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Lucy is calling me a witch for what I did and saying it wasn't a crime for my mother-in-law to act in my daughter's best interest, even if she went behind my back. No, Lucy. Mother-in-law firstly doesn't get to decide all by herself what's in the best interest of someone else's child. And no, Lucy, it's not okay to go behind people's back. Father-in-law is contemplating his marriage, surely not only because of one incident. It takes a lot more for people to get to a point where they contemplate their marriage. Maybe mother-in-law is a pathological liar and has done other damage too, and that's their problem to deal with. So, yay OP, not the idiot. Keep your mother-in-law away from your kid. I'm so sad for your daughter. It takes so much time and effort to grow and maintain hair. Comment 2. Not the idiot. My immediate thought when you mentioned being South Asian and the long hair, very common on girls and women in the South Asian community, was that maybe mother-in-law thought the granddaughter looked too brown with her long hair and gave her a more white do. Going that out of bounds to lie to your husband and granddaughter to chop off the girl's hair, there's seriously something bigger here than her just wanting to give the kid a haircut. Really hope your daughter is coping well after having her autonomy infringed upon by someone she should have had full trust and safety with. Comment 3. Not the idiot. However, is your daughter a very timid person or a shy person who is even afraid to talk back to her mum? She's 14 years old and didn't want to cut her hair. However, her grandma said that her mum gave permission to cut her hair, and she didn't even call you and yell at you for giving permission, cut her hair against her wishes. Like any normal teenage girl would. Is she very reserved with you too? You are not the idiot, but is there anything else going on here that a 14-year-old would not raise hell when her body and hair are being violated? Now for the update. Okay, I can't even believe I'm back with an update after the hair fiasco, but here we are. The morning after I last posted, my husband and I found a small gift box on our porch. Inside, a sorry-looking lock of hair, obviously our daughter's, and a note from mother-in-law begging for forgiveness. Creepy, right? Husband was livid, said this was another boundary crossed. I just felt sick. Flash forward to 2 days later. Father-in-law calls and invites us to a family meeting. Turns out he arranged a surprise mediation session with a family therapist. Mother-in-law, sister-in-law, us, and yes, the therapist, all crammed into their living room. It was tense. Mother-in-law had this whole sob story prepared, but the therapist wasn't having any of it. She pointed out that mother-in-law's actions were a violation of trust and autonomy. It felt validating, but mother-in-law just sat there, stone-faced. Then, out of nowhere, sister-in-law bursts into tears, like ugly crying. She admits that she suggested the straightening because she always hated her own curls and was projecting onto my daughter. It was a weird moment where I felt sorry for her and angry at the same time. Mother-in-law then, finally, begrudgingly apologises, but it felt hollow, you know. The week after that, we kept our distance. But then the drama ramped up again. My daughter's school called. Mother-in-law had shown up there trying to check her out of class. The school knew about the situation, we informed them just in case, and didn't let her leave with mother-in-law. Thank God for school protocols, but yeah, that happened. We had to get a restraining order. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law are now painting us as monsters on social media, saying we're tearing the family apart and denying a grandmother her rights. My husband's extended family is split. Some are supportive, others think we're overreacting. My family back home is furious and ready to fly over here to handle things. Their words, not mine. And the kicker? Last night my daughter, bless her heart, confessed that she actually likes her hair short, but was afraid to tell us because of all the drama. So we're getting it styled properly, and she's rocking it like the little queen she is. We're looking into long-term legal options to protect our family. We never wanted this to escalate like it has, but here we are. Sometimes reality is stranger than fiction, right? Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. Your primary concern is rightfully the well-being and safety of your daughter. It's troubling to hear that your mother-in-law went so far as to try to check your daughter out of school without your permission, which is a clear boundary violation and poses a potential safety risk. Obtaining a restraining order may seem extreme to some, but given the circumstances, it's a necessary measure to protect your child. While it's unfortunate that the mother-in-law and sister-in-law are spreading negativity on social media and causing family rifts, your responsibility is to your immediate family's safety and peace of mind. It's also vital to validate your daughter's feelings about her hair and the situation, as it seems she felt intimidated into silence, which can have lasting emotional effects. The fact that she likes her short hair is a silver lining, but it doesn't excuse the actions of your mother-in-law and sister-in-law or the need for firm boundaries and possibly legal intervention. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Dealing with family conflict is always challenging, but it becomes more so when individuals overstep their roles and make decisions that are not theirs to make. It's clear that the mediation session with a therapist was a step in the right direction, but it's disappointing that the mother-in-law only offered a begrudging apology and did not seem to fully grasp the gravity of her actions. It's also concerning that the sister-in-law was the one to suggest the hair straightening, which suggests a lack of respect for your parenting and your daughter's autonomy. Taking legal action is not only about responding to past incidents, but also about preventing future oversteps and ensuring that there are clear consequences for unacceptable behavior. It's important that you continue to support your daughter and make decisions that prioritize her sense of security and identity, especially in light of the fact that she was reluctant to express her true feelings about her hair amidst the drama. Comment 3. Not the idiot. The escalation to a restraining order and the consideration of further legal options speak volumes about the severity of the situation. It's commendable that you are taking a stand to protect your daughter from what appears to be a pattern of overbearing and inappropriate behavior from the mother-in-law. The fact that the mother-in-law's actions have now moved from personal disagreements to potential legal violations is a clear indication that boundaries have been crossed. Additionally, it's important to acknowledge that the portrayal of your family as monsters on social media is not just hurtful. It's a form of manipulation and defamation that can have real consequences on your family's reputation and relationships. Your focus on protecting your daughter and your family is justified, and it's clear that the mother-in-law and sister-in-law are unwilling to respect the boundaries set forth, making your actions necessary and appropriate under these circumstances. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.